Welcome back, home learners. Lovely to see you today. You've made it. It's the end of the week. I hope you're still feeling positive, still feeling enthusiastic. I know it can be a real tough time at home, and I know that it's really tricky staying in all day, not seeing your friends, and not being able to be in school with us. But well done. You've made it to the end of the week, and I hope you've still got head held high and you are feeling proud of what you've achieved this week. We are going to be continuing our thinking all about persuasive features. So we've been doing lots of work on writing to persuade lately, and we've been thinking in particular, haven't we, about these 7, I'm calling them aforist features. We're calling them aforist features because when we sort of line them all up, the first letter of each one spells out really nicely aforist, and that's a good way to remember them. And that acronym is hopefully going to help us to use these over the coming days and weeks. So yesterday then, you did a really good job, I'm sure, of writing down some of your initial ideas about how we could use these aforist features in some writing all about the Great Exhibition. And so hopefully you've come up with some ideas similar to these. Maybe you've got some alliteration where we're using words that start with the same letter or sound in a row. So something like the Great Exhibition is elegant, exciting, and exceptional. You might have some facts like the Great Exhibition is made almost entirely of glass. You might have some opinions like it's the most incredible attraction in London. Hopefully some rhetorical questions which kind of engage your reader and make them think about their own answer to it. So do you want to miss out on the event of the summer? Maybe some emotive language. Take pride in your country and see Britain's worldwide successes. You might have some statistics. 90% of our visitors loved the Great Exhibition or would recommend it to a friend. You might have the rule of 3. You might have these inventions are inspirational, exciting, and spectacular. Something like that would be really good. What we're going to have a go at today is we are going to do the plan for our main piece of writing. So I've been talking about this for quite a while now, the fact that we are going to make this, we're going to make our own advertising leaflet for the Great Exhibition. Now, I've sort of knocked up this planning grid for you here, and I've got 6 kind of boxes or panels. The reason I've done that is that when we've got a piece of A4 paper and folded it into thirds, as a leaflet often is, you've got 6 sides to write on. So they'll all be fairly slim. There'll be 1/3 of one side of A4 paper, but this will be how our leaflet is laid out. We're going to have 6 panels like this. I think we're going to need one which just has a nice title and a picture, which we can do later on. One is going to have the introduction, and what that's going to be is what is the Great Exhibition. You're going to actually have to explain what it is. You're going to treat it as though your reader has no idea and they're finding out about this. Of course, they couldn't have got their news online, could they? They needed to sort of read about it in a leaflet, perhaps, to find out about it. We're going to have a little section on the building itself, so what made that so special. One section is going to be about the attractions, and what we mean by that is what was there actually to see inside. There's going to be one section about the facilities, and that's going to include food and drink and also toilets. And of course, you know, nowadays, you probably wouldn't be that excited to find out that a museum had toilets. You'd probably be quite relieved, but it's not really noteworthy. But the Great Exhibition, of course, had built-in plumbed toilets for the first time, really. This was not a common thing for attractions like this. So we're going to make a big thing of actually talking about the toilets and mentioning that they're there. I think we're going to need one section that's going to have some prices and times and some information like that. And on the back, we'll also have a map and some contact details, so perhaps the address. All of these things are going to form our advertising leaflet. Now, if you've got some sort of really big ideas of your own, you're sort of thinking, actually, do you know what? I'd really like to write one section about this. You could always sort of tweak my example here a little bit. It's not set in stone. But I think unless you've got sort of your own specific ideas, this is probably a good planning structure for us to use. And this is going to help us to organize and lay out our work. So what we're going to do today then is we're going to fill in this plan. And then from Monday, we're going to start doing the actual writing. We're going to start making this. So today it's all about filling in our plan. And what I was really pleased about when we did our Workhouse Diary entry is that a few of you actually, as part of your emails to me, said, oh, do you know what? We found it really helpful doing the plan first. And it meant that, you know, writing wasn't so much of a struggle. Rather than coming just to a blank page and asking you to write, you know, you had a really clear idea in your head of what you were going to write in advance. And I always think that's a good idea, isn't it? Because if you plan in advance what you want to say, you can focus then a little bit more on the actual saying it and making sure that your sentences and your word choices and so on are really good, because you've done a lot of the thinking in advance. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do that thinking and planning in advance so that on Monday we are ready to write. So how are you going to populate this? How are you going to actually fill this in? There's a couple of sources you are going to use. Number one, from Monday's history lesson, where we learned all about the Great Exhibition, you are going to use the facts and things that you found out there, and you are going to plot them in the right places. So just by way of example, one of the things we found out on Monday was that there were more than 100,000 things in the Great Exhibition, more than 100,000 things on show. So I'm going to write that in here. More than 100,000 exhibits. Now, clearly, that in and of itself, on its own, is not a sentence. That's just sort of a little bit of information, but that's going to give me something to write about. Now, when I come to do this properly, I'm going to actually make more of a thing of that, and I might put in some adjectives like extraordinary exhibits, things like that. I might use some persuasive features, although actually there's a statistic in there already, isn't there? Or there's a fact in there as well. But yeah, we're going to just sort of jot down some initial ideas at this stage. So just things like, for example, one of the things we found out, there were 2 trees inside the building. And you can kind of do a bit of a scattergun approach here. You can go through your notes from Monday and just plot them in the right boxes. So where we found out the price, for example, you can put that in that box. Where we found out about, you know, the facilities, maybe some of the food and drink on offer, you can put that in that box. And we'll just start slowly filling up each section. Then the second thing I'd like you to do is to start putting in some of your favorite sentences from yesterday. So if you know that actually you've got one here that would really fit nicely in the section about exhibits or attractions, put it in there. If you know you've got a great bit of alliteration which you think actually that's really to do with the toilets, I don't know, maybe you're going to put it in there. If you've got a rhetorical question which you think actually I really want that at the very, very start, that would really engage my reader, put that in that box. And what it's going to mean is, come the end of today, hopefully, you know, in sort of an hour or less time, you are going to have a really detailed plan with lots of ideas, so that when it gets to Monday, you can just go, right, I'm ready to write. I know exactly what I'm going to do. You can make this look really good. Now, one other thing I'm going to encourage you to do today, I'm going to put a link in the description down here to quite a nice little website which just has some information on the Great Exhibition on. And so particularly if you're sort of, if you get to the end of your plan, you think, oh, do you know what, we haven't really got anything for that box. Hopefully that will help you to fill in maybe some missing parts. Likewise, actually, if you suddenly realize, do you know what, I don't really know much about that aspect of it and I'd really like to find it out, now could be a good time to do a bit of research of your own. If you want to maybe, I don't know, find out a little bit more about what food and drink there was there, that would be a great time to do it. I happen to know, for example, I think lemonade was on sale in the Great Exhibition, and that would have been a really sort of unusual thing that perhaps people hadn't had so much of before. So things like that, if you've got something you want to find out a bit more about, or you've got one of these boxes that's a little bit more empty than the others, now is the time to fill it in. Okay, everyone, so you know what you're doing. I look forward to seeing some of your plans, and even more importantly, I look forward to seeing next week what these plans become, because all the hard work that you put in today is going to really pay off next week. It's going to really mean that you know exactly what you're going to write about. You've got it all in your head ready, and you can really focus on getting in some of those great writing features. You can focus on making your sentences as interesting as possible. Good luck with this, and I will see you back for your next video, which is maths. See you then.